Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning. Give everybody another minute here to gather around. Okay. Looks like we have a good group now. Morning, everybody. Glad to see you all here. Happy spring. Got a few items on our agenda today. We're going to have a presentation about housing resource navigation for single individuals and couples. We're going to talk about Englewood's Affordable Housing Task Force and then get our coordinator updates. So I'm happy to welcome Molly Steffen and Cameron Shropshire. They're going to talk about having housing resource navigation for single individuals and couples and how that works at the county. Morning.
Good morning. How is everyone?
Good.
Good. Yes, happy spring. I'm very happy that it's spring now too.
I know. It's like a good day today.
Yeah, I can go ahead and just get started and share my screen for our presentation here. Of course. Oop, yep, that's not going to work. Hold on 1 second. Of course, this is always a struggle, right?
It's always a struggle here. We're always first thing in the morning.
Well, and my laptop was broken, and so I'm operating on a new one, and so it's a whole thing. There we go. All right, can everyone see that okay?
Yeah, looks good.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Molly Steffen, the lead housing resource navigator with Arapahoe County. And I'm here today to kind of talk to you guys about our program, kind of what we do as far as who we are, what we do in the community, kind of what our triumphs have been since we started a while ago, and answer any questions that you guys might have. So kind of to start us off, kind of our history is that our program started about 2021 in response to the COVID pandemic. We are grant funded solely through, right now we're through Line Arapahoe and SARA funds. So we've partnered with SARA, which is a state program for rental assistance under Housing Stability Services as well, to continue our program and still provide those housing resources to folks that are kind of beyond rental assistance. We've always been a team of 3 navigators, and we are community-based, so we do go out in the community and meet with people where they're at. And this is our team. Of course, there's a lead housing resource navigator. I've been with the county since May of 2022. I do have a background in medical case management. That's mainly where kind of my expertise is at. Zach, he has been with us since I believe August of 2023. And he has experience with tobacco cessation and program development. Tarina has just joined our team back in July. She had been with the county, I think, since 2022 as well, but she had joined our team last year in 2024. She came from family resource navigation, so she's kind of our expert. We have questions about family resource navigation. So kind of a little bit about what we do to help folks. So as I mentioned, we are community-based with the Arapahoe County. And so we do meet with folks who are at day shelters, libraries, sort of, or nonprofits. We kind of go to those locations where those are experiencing homelessness are frequenting. If we are, not available, we of course are always available by email, voicemail, or by internal referral from other departments in the county. So we do have other ways of meeting with folks so we can kind of expand our reach. Target population was include is individuals experiencing homelessness or at risk. These are adults and couples without minor children in their household. And of course, they have to be residing in Arapahoe County. Where we kind of maybe differ from other navigation teams is that, what we do is kind of rely on self-autonomy with clients and kind of give them the resources and have them act on their own. Of course, we're always willing to walk through a process with a client, but we kind of our maximum kind of interactions that we'll have with them is about 3, unless there's special circumstances that apply. Then of course we can kind of take more of a case management role with them, but we're typically not in the case management business with our clients. We kind of just provide the resources and have them act on their own with those resources. To kind of go over more of those boundaries and the clarifications for our program, we're only accepting internal referrals at this time. So that just means from other departments in the county. For our community partners, we do ask them to direct clients to meet us during our outreach hours, which in a couple slides, I'll go over those outreach hours. If we're not available for outreach, again, clients are always available to email us or call our voicemail to discuss the inquiry and schedule an appointment. So say if, again, clients are maybe based in Aurora mostly, we are not going to turn them away because they're based in Aurora mostly, because we are mostly on the western side of Arapahoe County. But if someone in Aurora needs some services and they've reached out, we'll definitely schedule a time to meet with them that's most convenient. Kind of to go over that resource navigation versus case management component. So we, really rely on clients to, act on their own for those resources to kind of practice their self-autonomy. Again, we try to keep it to 3 encounters or less. It's really short term what we provide. Again, we do have some cases that we do take on that are 3+ encounters. that's kind of becoming more the case lately. Just a lot more people needing more support and help with their resources. And so we kind of leave that up to the navigator, though, at their discretion to see, which cases they're willing to take on like that. And so here's our community outreach schedule, which I can certainly email a copy of this PDF to everyone on this call if they'd like to, if they, want to print that out and provide that as needed. Typically, we're at libraries on Mondays, both at Bemis and Englewood Library. By appointment only, we do have a system set up with Arapahoe libraries where they will send us referrals and we'll schedule appointments with them at those locations. Eloise May is based over by Parker Road. It does say Denver, but it's basically Aurora area, or that unincorporated area. On Wednesdays, the first and last Wednesday of the month, we're at Movement 5280 and see folks there. Fridays are, again, more based at libraries in Englewood or at Castlewood Library in Centennial. And at the end, you can see that if there's an appointment that's, say if none of these locations work for a client or times specifically, they can always give us a call, send us an email, and we can set that up with them. Here are some kind of trying up some data points that I just wanted to pull since we started the program. From what I was able to gather, so since 2021 up until 2024, we've interacted with 1,556 individuals, and that is through our community outreach, like at these day shelters, nonprofits, through our internal referrals, and by email and voicemail. We've connected with several community partners. Like I mentioned before, Arapahoe Libraries has been a great partner to us as far as getting resources and support to the clients that they also see or patrons that they see at the libraries. Again, Movement 5280 has also been a really great partner to us as well since the very beginning, as well as other nonprofits. We do collaborate with MDHI, which is the Metro Denver Housing Initiative, for their Built for Zero initiative. And so their focus is, of course, is housing every homeless veteran in Arapahoe County. And so we're actively involved in case conferencing and engaging with providers to ensure that we reduce, the whole concept, of course, is getting towards zero veterans experiencing homelessness in the area. And currently, right now, we are at functioning zero, so we don't have any veterans on our list. Those do come in every once in a while, of course, but as of right now, we're at zero, which is great. And that is all I have for you guys today. Is there any questions, comments, concerns?
Any questions for Molly?
I also want to note that this team also helps lead the annual point in time count every year. So they're really helping to organize and recruit volunteers, working with local community agencies, law enforcement to really pinpoint locations every year so we can have a really effective point in time count every season.
Reed, go ahead.
Thanks, Molly. Just a quick question. Mike Sanger just texted me yesterday and wondered if there are any rental assistance programs that are active now with funding. Thanks.
So I think not as of this moment. I believe we talked about it in our Tuesday meeting, Cameron, that Sarah is opening their pre-applications next week, I believe on Tuesday, starting at 11 a.m. And then they'll close, I believe, on Thursday at 5 p.m. Correct me, Cameron, if I'm wrong, but those rental assistance funds are opening, I believe, next week for pre-application.
Yes, and the Sarah Call Center is also open Monday through Friday, so people can call in daily to apply for rent assistance. There's also rent assistance available through Arapahoe County as well. So we encourage community members to go to the county's website, and if the link is active, we're accepting applications at the time. If the app link is deactivated, that means we're at our capacity. And what we do is we work through the applications that are in our queue, and then we reopen the portal again so more community individuals can apply for rent assistance.
Thank you. All right. Catherine.
I just wanted to highlight, I know that Molly, thank you, Molly and Cameron, for coming. This was great. I wanted to highlight on the funding piece of things that Molly mentioned. This started with emergency rental assistance funding, and then it had moved into ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan Act dollars, and now in revenue replacement county funds, which is also how that Arapahoe County rental assistance is funded. But wanted to mention, Molly highlighted the Colorado Emergency Rental Assistance, or SARA, that we talk about. And so I don't know if Molly, if you want to touch on this at all, but it has shifted the work of our navigators a little bit, because they are now funded with that SARA funding source for the state, which means a lot of the work that they're doing while navigating is assisting individuals through that application process for the Colorado Emergency Rental Assistance Funds. That is kind of one of the tasks of the funding, is to, in addition to the navigation services, helping individuals through that process. So wanted to highlight that.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, just so we are, both the navigation team as well as the rent team are really helping with those individuals to some degree statewide with applying for those Colorado Emergency Rent Assistance Funds. So a few of us at the county have neighborly access now, so we can look up individuals' information they've applied. We can provide them with additional support if they're having challenges with completing the application. Team members can help them with that. The navigators can actually help them complete the applications in the field as well. So really working to provide those full wraparound services for individuals who are experiencing homelessness, but also, effectively working to keep people housed and while getting them housed at the same time.
So do you at all do input into like the MDHI systems, or do you rely on the nonprofit partners to do that part?
We do, so yes, we do input folks into HMIS, or the Homeless Management Information System, which is a database, of course, of folks who are experiencing homelessness, are put into this database to get them connected to housing resource programs. We do a lot of that as well, and in completing what are called coordinate entry assessments, to see what they're like. Kind of basically, we do an assessment to gauge where their vulnerability is at, and match those with the programs that have availability, and getting them housed during some transitional housing while they work on something more permanent.
Great. Okay. Any other questions for Molly or Cameron? I really appreciate you coming out and sharing what you do, and thank you for what you do.
Yeah,
appreciate your work.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much
Thanks
for
for having
having
us.
us. Here's our information if you need to contact us. Like I said, I can email over that PDF of our community outreach schedule, which has our contact information on there as well. And so, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at that information there. Otherwise, I think we're all done.
Thanks. And I think I would like to have that the little cheat sheet of where you are at what hours and things. I think that'd be helpful to provide to our staff.
Of
So they
course,
have
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I can get that over to you.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so
Okay.
much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Molly.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to Aaron Martinez, who's going to tell us a little bit about the work he's been doing with Englewood's Affordable Housing Task Force. Aaron, if you want to introduce yourself, and please go ahead.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name's Aaron Martinez. I'm an Englewood resident. I was part of the Englewood Affordable Housing Task Force, which was composed of local Englewood residents, business owners, and some subject matter experts. That was convened in late 2024. We'll give you a little bit of background around the task force, and I don't have a presentation. Hopefully, I'm not sure if the recommendations and the report was sent out to folks, but that is available on the Englewood website, and I think there's a couple of folks on the call here that could share that if anybody's interested. But in late 2024, a task force was assembled by Englewood City Council, like I said, of homeowners, renters, business owners, and subject matter experts to begin to look at how the city of Englewood should be addressing and reacting and being proactive to the housing crisis. And so really there's kind of a few things that spurred this on. In 2021, the city undertook a large update to zoning code, which addressed some things around density, which, and I was also on that task force, and there was a lot of discussion there about, well, what are we doing about housing affordability? And it wasn't that body wasn't the ideal venue to discuss those or to produce recommendations that was focused on land use and zoning. And then in 2022, the city of Inglewood had Root Policy Research do a housing needs assessment. And all of this kind of led to a need to engage the community and engage citizens and residents here in Inglewood about what we want as residents to see the city doing in response to a housing crisis. And I've said that phrase a couple of times, housing crisis. It's interesting because not everybody involved in these discussions really agreed that this is a crisis, because it might not be a crisis for them. And so the representation on the task force had a wide variety of perspectives represented. Like I said, homeowners and renters, but also, left side, right side, very progressive, very anti-development, very, just the whole spectrum. And it actually, and I've mentioned this a few times in speaking about this task force, it was one of the most civil and I think productive gatherings of very diverse perspectives that I've been involved in quite a long time. Folks were invested in seeing Inglewood, do the right thing, and people really care about and love this city. And those voices all of those different voices were represented on the task force. So convened in late 2023, the task force gathered monthly for just over a year. There was a lot of education and exposure to not only the housing needs assessment, but we had experts come in from Habitat for Humanity, from affordable housing developers, and all, just us regular citizens got an exposure to not only the challenges that are out there, but a lot of the methods, techniques, and policies and practices that are being used not only across Colorado, but across the country to address these issues. And so after a good long time of meeting monthly to learn about the issues and to learn about possible solutions, the task force then turned to put together some recommendations for City Council to consider implementing in policy to address housing affordability in Inglewood. The report that we had put together really highlights four things, four approaches of which policies fall into, and that's to build, make it easy to build more housing. I'm sure many people are familiar with the book and the mantra recently of that homelessness is a housing problem. We need housing to be abundant and affordable. So make it conducive in Inglewood to build more housing, especially housing types that are affordable, and everything that we can to build more housing. Second, fund housing, fund the development of affordable housing units. Third category was assist, so help people not only navigate to, but help people get into housing. And then the last one is preserve. And this was an important one for Inglewood because there is a lot of naturally occurring affordable housing in Inglewood that are at risk of being taken down and larger units being put up, more expensive units being put up. We really feel the pressure of residential development that's coming down Broadway from Denver, where we're seeing a lot of these unit types of small 12 to 1,800 square foot homes that are being scraped, and 2 or 3 $1.2 million duplex triplexes going up in their space. So getting density, yes, but affordability, no. And so preserving the units that make sense of naturally occurring affordable housing, I'm doing, and making sure that not only does that speak to the character of Inglewood, but also the accessibility and you know, the small landlords and folks that are keeping this housing affordable. So four basic, like I said, four basic buckets of kind of recommendations. I think that there was a sense that this task force was going to come out with very specific, like, do these things, 1, 2, and 3, and we'll be good. But we were a much higher level view. And I think this was probably a product of the fact that we were a year and like looking at all of these different possible solutions, from community land trusts, low-income housing tax credit development, you know, different sorts of zoning adjustments and ADUs and things like that. And I think ultimately the task force came out with, we need to do all of the above. This is not, there's no silver bullets, there's no panacea, it's all of the above. And so while I think council was hoping for us to be a little bit more specific, especially in terms of like income ranges and where we should be targeting, we're like, we need to do all of this. We need to be building you know, not only deeply affordable, we need to support transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, you know, affordable rental housing, also affordable home ownership, smaller unit types, missing middle. It's just, you know, the list goes on. And so from my perspective, I think the key there was that a group of very diverse perspectives were in a room together for a year, and all of us came to the same conclusion that we need to do all of these things. We need to keep everything on the table. And so, yeah, the report goes into a lot of detail about the recommendations. It even goes into a lot of detail about the process. It was a very transparent and open process. The meetings were recorded. I think all of our sticky notes and the brainstorming on the Post-its on the wall were all documented and recorded. And so the report's very thorough. And like I said, it's do all of the above, but also Inglewood is our residents are very passionate about this city, about our community, about keeping some affordability and the character of sort of the working class and smaller scale units and all of that. So that's about it. I'm happy to try to answer anybody's questions. So let me have them.
Thanks so much, Erin, and I appreciate your service on that group. I mean, that's a big commitment to work on that for a year, so thank you for doing that. And my question is, like, what do you think was the key to keeping that a civil discussion?
We had some great facilitators. Tasha Jones, folks probably know her. She's in the space quite a bit. She kind of did most of the facilitation on the front end. You know, there were times where it's like, I feel like, you know, people on the task force are speaking a different language. And I think we just, you know, kind of met in the middle and kind of had respect for each other's perspectives. And it never really got to a place that was anybody was heated. It was just, you know, some mutual respect. And like I said, it was one of the most civil kind of groups that I've been a part of in a long time. Yeah, I would chalk it up to kind of laying out clear expectations up front, having a really good facilitator that can kind of redirect and focus conversations to be productive. Yeah.
Commissioner Warren-Gully, go ahead.
Thank you. I loved your question, Mayor. That was an excellent thought of how do we continue to do this type of work together. I wondered if you had any conversation, Erin, about seniors. I see that as really becoming a very large issue in Arapahoe County, but really specifically in the Tri-Cities area, because we are the older communities. You know, our communities have been around for a while, and so we have people that are aging in place, and we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, there absolutely was discussion about that. I mean, obviously, a lot is focused on, you know, having new people come in and where are they going to live and that kind of thing. But, you know, you're pushing on the other side of the balloon of the people that are here. And like you said, aging in place, especially folks in, you know, smaller, more naturally occurring affordable units. That was absolutely part of the discussion. And I believe in the recommendations, there's some recommendations about how to support and maintain those units. Yeah, I'm trying to think back, and I work for Urban Land Conservancy. We're a nonprofit affordable housing developer in Denver that uses a land trust model in a lot of our work. And I'm kind of blurring, what I've been doing with other work with what was in the task force. But there's certainly opportunities to use some of these strategies to help people stay in their neighborhoods and stay in their places while also building some affordability, some gentle density, whether it's ADUs or other approaches like using a land trust model to support more units on a single parcel. Just like I said, we didn't get too specific, but we heard of a lot of great strategies on the task force.
Thank you.
Questions for Aaron? I did bring up that the whole output of your work here, that report, and it's pretty in-depth. It's going to take a little digesting.
Yeah.
Andrea, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I was curious if you guys talked at all about cottage courts. Those are my new, I'm obsessed with them and I'm want to see them happen more places.
Yeah, no, we absolutely did. In fact, we went on some deep dives in those discussions. There were some people on the task force particularly passionate about new housing typologies, like courtyard and cottage type things, especially as they might be married to, like I said, land trust models where the land might be owned by a nonprofit and the units above either rented or sold as affordable units. These are very interesting strategies, and I think absolutely needed. These are the type of missing middle type units that the market is not producing on its own. And
Yeah.
so, support, anything that the city can do to support, either through zoning or through incentives, or, we kind of listed out this whole kind of scheme of things to do to support housing types that the market is not producing.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to mention, one very direct recommendation that we made to council was to fund a staff position as focused on affordable housing. We don't have that position within the city, and we thought that was something that was absolutely needed. Somebody who can really go through these policies and identify what is most appropriate for Inglewood, and connect folks to those resources. And then the other was that collaboration is absolutely critical with our neighbors, with our neighboring communities. We can't do this in a vacuum. We can't be insular or myopic about how we approach affordable housing in Inglewood. We need to be partnering with neighboring communities and municipalities to have a coordinated approach.
Yeah. And even if if one of us cities could get a cute cottage court built and we could see the product, and I went to the missing middle presentation at the APA conference last week by the guy who wrote the book, and he was like, this is not offensive. People actually love this product. And so, yeah, I would love to see that happen. We'll keep
They
trying.
love it a whole lot more than a 5-story, 400-unit apartment building next to them.
Yes.
All right. Julie. Oh, wait. Yeah, Julie. Sorry.
Hi, Erin. I also wondered, I heard a recent segment on churches that were offering up their land for affordable housing. And I think one of the things I also liked about that one was the members were wanting to be part of like supporting those people moving into those units. And I always love that concept when we have people kind of coming around, people in, lower income housing or affordable housing. Was that part of the discussion?
Not specifically about churches, but we did, this was the task force overlapped with when RTD was making a hard pivot for some of their underutilized parking. And so that was part of the story. And also underutilized or underdeveloped city-owned land was certainly part of the discussion as well. So again, all of the above. I don't think we specifically had one around churches excess land, but I think that falls into that same vein of just, what are these land, nonprofit or government or even just community focused people that own land that could we could build affordable housing on. we want to see those opportunities taken advantage of.
Thank you.
Great. Joe, go ahead.
Thank you. And thanks for the presentation, Aaron, and for serving on the task force. What a great year. I got to be a part of a lot of those meetings, and there was a lot of, I can vouch for everything Aaron said. There's a lot of good work put in by a lot of citizens. I wanted to just follow up on Andrea's question about the cottage courtyards and such. We already have an Inglewood Code in 2023. We have an allowance for that in our development code, and I know we have a couple of, I think at least one project already underway in Inglewood for it. But I think one thing that the Housing Task Force did talk about was expanding that to make it even easier. There are some lots on which it is not allowed. It is allowed, I think, in all single family zones, but perhaps in some areas with too large of lot sizes to really make it functional and that kind of thing. So we are certainly experiencing with it, and something I would really like to see expanded as well.
Great. I guess I'm curious to hear if you had any input or discussions about, I'm trying to think of the right word now, displacement of residents, as housing values go up and affordability goes down. Did you talk any about like mitigating techniques for that?
Yeah, that was certainly part of the preservation piece, and specifically attention towards smaller, especially locally based landlords that have smaller units or small multiplexes, really not overburdening them with things that would cause them to have to raise rents or things like that. I think there was definitely some discussion about the balance between sort of making sure those are safe, quality units, and the separation between somebody who's not taking care of their properties and keeping rents low because they're not investing in them, and balancing that with not overburdening small landlords.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah, it's a tough one because as soon as they remodel, they want to charge higher rents, and then the people can't afford to stay. So, any other questions for Aaron? No? Well, thank you so much, Aaron. We really appreciate you coming by to share the work you all did, and I'm definitely going to take a good look through that report to see what we can work on and share it. And we're still in the middle of our formal housing assessment, so we're moving on to strategy soon. So it's a good model to look at.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Thanks. You're welcome to hang around or take off if you want to. All right. Last thing on our agenda for today is a coordinator update. I'm so excited to see we have our main coordinator. Jessica's back. Yay. But Lizzie's been doing a fantastic job keeping us rolling. And so whoever wants to start on the coordinator update, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. So Lizzie did catch me up to speed on everything that's been in the works since I've been gone. So I'll start with just a high-level overview. For the RFP, the pre-solicitation meeting was held on the 31st of March, and we had 8 questions from 9 different consultant agencies. The questions were really around budget, timeline. Some were specific to Tri-Cities region and what kind of sets the Tri-Cities region apart. And then another question about local bidder preferences. So Lizzie responded to all 9 of the questions. Next week, April 15th, the RFP will close at 2:30. From there, our purchasing agent will send out all of the responses to all of the evaluation committee members. They will then will score each response. From there, send it back to our purchasing agent, who will compile all of the scores, and then from there we'll have an identified consultant. So long as it's within the allocated budget, we'll go under contract pretty quickly. from other items that I'm working on getting the December, January, February, and March dashboards completed, hopefully by the beginning of next week. So those will be current on the website. And other than that, just scheduling meetings, getting caught up, resuming our monthly working groups and housing cohorts. And at 10 a.m. today, meeting with the MKV liaisons and other city officials to kind of talk about the family service provider and considerations as I begin that RFP process.
Great. That sounds fantastic. Welcome back. Glad to have you back.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Okay. Anybody have questions for Jessica about her update? I'm glad you're going to meet with the McKinney-Vento folks again, because we had them on this meeting and I don't feel like we made the best use of their time. I don't know. I feel like, I mean, it was good to hear from them, but I feel like maybe we didn't get everything from them that we probably should have, as far as, you know, what we can all do together to get family services improved. So I'm glad you're all over it.
I'm looking forward to it too. They have a lot of really great input, so
yeah,
it'll help guide the RFP process for designating the family service provider.
great. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to bring up? We have a little extra time this morning. Anything you want to share from your organizations that's going on? No? Okay. And thank you, everybody. Thanks to all our presenters, and appreciate your participation and your ideas. And I'll look forward to talking with you all again next month. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.